She was America's sweetheart, the girl who tripped at the Oscars and laughed about it, the actress who ate pizza on the red carpet and made awkward look adorable. For a decade, Jennifer Lawrence had been the most relatable movie star on the planet, the girl next door who somehow won an Oscar at 22. But on this particular morning, sitting across from Joy Behar at The View, the mask was about to crack in a way no one expected. Not the charming, self-deprecating crack that had made her famous. Something rawer, something angrier, something that would make America realize that maybe the girl who fell down had been holding herself up longer than anyone knew. The studio went silent, the laughter stopped, and Jennifer Lawrence showed the world what happens when you push the cool girl too far. Subscribe now and drop a comment below, because this confrontation will shatter everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's favorite everywoman. The View studio buzzed with the particular energy that always accompanied Jennifer Lawrence's appearances. She was known for giving good television, for saying unexpected things, for making hosts laugh until they forgot their next question. At 34 years old, she had achieved the rare feat of being both a serious, Oscar-winning actress and a genuine pop culture phenomenon, someone whose gifs and quotes circulated endlessly on social media. When Jennifer walked onto the set, the applause was immediate and enthusiastic. Her blonde hair was loose, her makeup minimal, her smile already in place. She waved to the audience with the practiced ease of someone who had been doing this since she was a teenager, then settled into the guest chair with a theatrical sigh that got a laugh. This was a woman who had come from nowhere, Louisville, Kentucky. A girl who had convinced her parents to let her pursue acting at 14, who had dropped out of school and moved to New York with nothing but talent and determination, who had worked her way through small roles in indie films until Winter's Bone put her on the map, who had then, improbably, impossibly, become the youngest woman to win Best Actress in nearly a decade. "I hate mornings," she announced to no one in particular. "I really, really hate mornings." The audience laughed. Whoopi chuckled. This was the Jennifer Lawrence they knew and loved, the one who said what everyone was thinking, the one who made fame look like something that had accidentally happened to her, rather than something she had pursued with the ferocious determination that actually characterized her career. Joy Behar watched from her seat, with an expression that suggested she had different plans for this interview. She had been unusually quiet during the initial pleasantries, studying Jennifer with an intensity that the other hosts hadn't noticed. "Jennifer Lawrence, welcome back to The View," Whoopi began. "We're so happy to have you here. Congratulations on the new film and on motherhood. How's everything going?" "Everything's chaos," Jennifer replied with a grin. "I have a toddler now, so I haven't slept in 2 years. But it's the best kind of chaos. I wouldn't trade it for anything." "That's beautiful," Sarah Haynes said. "Motherhood really suits you." "Thanks. I mean, I'm covered in some kind of sticky substance most of the time now, and I think I have Cheerios in my hair, but sure, motherhood suits me. It's the hardest and best thing I've ever done." More laughter. The Jennifer Lawrence machine was working perfectly, but Joy leaned forward and something shifted. "Jennifer, let's talk about something real," Joy said, and there was an edge in her voice that made the other hosts glance at her. "You've built this whole brand around being relatable. The falling at the Oscars, the junk food jokes, the I'm just like you persona. But let's be honest, you're worth over $100 million. You've been famous since you were a teenager. At what point does the relatable act become an act?" The question landed like a slap. Jennifer's smile flickered for just a moment before resetting. "I don't think it's an act," she said carefully. "I think I'm just me. I've never claimed to be anything else." "But that's exactly the claim, isn't it?" Joy pressed. "The I'm just like you thing. You're not just like us, Jennifer. You're one of the most famous actresses in the world. You travel by private jet. You wear clothes that cost more than most people's monthly rent. The relatability feels manufactured." Jennifer was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke, her voice had lost some of its playful quality. "So I'm supposed to pretend I'm not human? I'm supposed to act like some untouchable celebrity who never makes mistakes or feels awkward or wants to eat a burger? That would be more authentic to you?" "I'm just saying that the persona is convenient. It's good branding. It makes you likable in a way that translates to ticket sales." "Everything I do is branding now," Jennifer's eyebrow raised. "I can't just be a person who trips sometimes and likes food. It has to be a marketing strategy." Joy shrugged. You're in the business of selling yourself. Everything is marketing to some degree. That's a really cynical way to see the world, Jennifer said quietly, and a really cynical way to see me. We've met before, Joy, multiple times. You've seen me off camera. Do you actually believe I'm performing all the time? I think everyone in Hollywood performs all the time. It's what you do. The question is whether you're aware of it or in denial about it. Jennifer's jaw tightened visibly. Can we talk about something else? Sure, Joy said, but her tone suggested she was just getting started. Let's talk about the pay gap comments you made a few years ago. You wrote that essay about how you were paid less than your male co-stars and how unfair it was, but you were still making millions of dollars per film. Some people found it hard to sympathize with a millionaire complaining about not making enough millions. Don't you think that was a bit tone-deaf? I think equal pay is a principle, Jennifer replied, her voice getting harder. It doesn't matter if you're making minimum wage or millions. If women are being paid less than men for the same work, that's wrong, period. But you're not exactly struggling, are you? You're talking about inequality from a position of enormous privilege. Some women can't even afford childcare, and you're complaining about the gap between 20 million and 25 million. So because I'm successful, I'm not allowed to advocate for other women. Is that the logic? Rich women should just shut up and be grateful. I'm saying the messenger matters, and your message came from a pretty comfortable place. Jennifer leaned forward, and there was something in her eyes now that the audience had never seen before. Let me tell you about my comfortable place, Joy. When I was 23 years old, someone hacked into my phone and stole private photos of me, intimate photos that I had taken for someone I was in a relationship with. And those photos were distributed all over the internet for anyone to see. The studio went very quiet. I was violated, publicly, globally. And do you know what a lot of people said? That it was my fault. That I shouldn't have taken those photos. That I should have known better. That I was asking for it by being famous and having a body, and being in a relationship like a normal human being. Her voice was shaking now, but not with weakness, with fury. I called it a sex crime because that's what it was. I didn't consent to those images being shared. I didn't consent to millions of strangers seeing my body. But instead of being treated as a victim, I was treated as a cautionary tale. This is what happens when you're careless. This is what you get for being famous. As if my privacy was something I had forfeited by being an actress. She paused, collecting herself. Do you know what that does to a person? To know that anyone you meet might have seen you in your most vulnerable moments? To wonder, every time someone looks at you, if they're seeing an actress or if they're seeing those photos. I had to keep working, keep smiling, keep being America's sweetheart while carrying that violation inside me every single day. She took a breath, steadying herself. So when you talk about my comfortable place and my privilege, remember that my body was turned into public property without my consent. Remember that I had to sit in rooms with executives and pretend everything was fine, while knowing they had probably seen me naked. Remember that I was the victim of a sex crime, and half the world blamed me for it. Joy seemed momentarily taken aback, but she recovered. That was terrible, and I'm sorry it happened to you. But it's not really relevant to the pay gap discussion. It's relevant to everything, Jennifer cut her off, because it's all connected. The way women are treated in this industry, the way our bodies are commodified, the way we're told to be grateful for whatever we get and not complain, the way we're supposed to smile and be relatable and never show that anything bothers us because then we're difficult or tone deaf or whatever label makes it easier to dismiss us. She stood up abruptly, and the movement seemed to surprise even her. I've spent my entire career trying to be likable, trying to be the cool girl who doesn't take herself too seriously, trying to make everyone comfortable. And you know what I've learned? It doesn't matter. People will still find reasons to tear you down. They'll say your personality is fake. They'll say your advocacy is privileged. They'll say you deserve to have your privacy violated because you're famous. She paced slightly, her energy too big to contain in that chair. Do you know what the cool girl costs? It costs you the right to be angry. It costs you the right to be hurt. It costs you the right to have boundaries. Because the moment you show any real emotion, you're dramatic or difficult or not as cool as we thought. The cool girl is a trap, Joy. A trap that women fall into thinking it will protect them, and then spend years trying to escape. She stopped pacing and turned back to face the panel. I've watched other actresses get torn apart for being too serious or too cold or not relatable enough. So I went the other direction. I made myself approachable, accessible. I let cameras catch me being awkward because I thought that would protect me somehow. But it didn't. It just created a different set of expectations I had to meet. She looked around the studio, her eyes bright with unshed tears. I'm tired, Joy. I'm tired of performing for people who've already decided they don't like me. I'm tired of being analyzed and deconstructed and reduced to think pieces about whether I'm genuine or not. I'm tired of having to justify my existence to people who've never spent a single day living my life. Whoopi tried to intervene. Jennifer, I think we all understand. Do you? Jennifer turned to her, and there was no hostility in her voice, just exhaustion. Do you understand what it's like to have your most intimate moments stolen and shared with the world? To have millions of strangers discussing your body? To know that no matter what you accomplish, some people will always see you as those photos first and an artist second. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, a gesture that was somehow both vulnerable and defiant. I won an Oscar when I was 22 years old. I've worked with the best directors in the world. I've helped create characters that meant something to people. Katniss Everdeen inspired a generation of girls to be strong and fight back. That character showed up at protests around the world. The three-finger salute became a symbol of resistance in actual political movements. People named their daughters Katniss because of what she represented. Her voice cracked slightly. I put everything I had into that character for 6 years. 4 films. I trained until my body broke down. I gave her everything, and in return she gave me a purpose beyond just being famous. I wasn't just a movie star. I was part of something that mattered. She looked at Joy with an expression that mixed hurt and contempt. But sure, let's talk about whether my personality is an act. Let's question whether I'm allowed to advocate for equal pay. Let's reduce everything I've done to branding and marketing. She looked at Joy with an expression that mixed hurt and contempt. You know what the funny thing is? I actually used to watch this show. I used to think it was a place where women supported other women, where we could have real conversations about real issues. Instead, I've spent the last 15 minutes defending my right to be a human being with flaws and opinions, and yes, money that I earned through my own work. She gathered herself, straightening her spine. I want to say something to the women watching this, not to Joy, to you. You don't have to be perfect to matter. You don't have to be poor to advocate for equality. You don't have to explain or justify or apologize for who you are. And you definitely don't have to let anyone reduce your whole life to whatever narrative is convenient for them. She began walking toward the edge of the set. Wait, Jennifer, Joy called out. I wasn't trying to... Yes, you were. Jennifer stopped but didn't turn around. You were trying to knock me down a few pegs, to expose the real Jennifer Lawrence behind the relatable persona. Well, congratulations. Here she is, a woman who's been through more than you'll ever know, who's worked harder than you can imagine, and who is absolutely done pretending to be okay with being torn apart for entertainment. She turned back one final time, and her voice was calmer now, almost sad. I became famous when I was a teenager. I've spent my entire adult life in the public eye. Every mistake I've made has been documented. Every relationship has been dissected. Every pound I've gained or lost has been commented on. And through all of it, I've tried to stay positive, to laugh at myself, to be the person people wanted me to be. She paused, her voice wavering. I've dated people and watched those relationships become tabloid fodder. I've been criticized for being too skinny and too fat, sometimes in the same week. I've had my fashion choices mocked, my political opinions dismissed, my acting ability questioned by people who've never made anything in their lives. She shook her head slowly. But I'm 34 now. I'm a mother. I have a son who will someday Google his mother's name and find all of this. And I don't have the energy to perform relatability for people who've already decided I'm fake. You want the real me? The real me is tired. The real me is hurt. The real me has been through things that would break most people and has somehow kept showing up anyway. She looked at Joy with something approaching pity. I hope this was worth it. I hope whatever ratings boost you get from Jennifer Lawrence loses it on The View is worth what you've shown about yourself today. Because you've shown that even in a space created for women, by women, we're still not safe from each other. And with that, Jennifer Lawrence walked off the set of The View, leaving behind a studio that felt like it was still processing what had just happened. The cameras kept rolling, capturing Joy's expression as it cycled through surprise, defensiveness, and finally something that might have been regret. She had wanted to deconstruct a carefully built image. Instead, she had provided the platform for that image to be torn down by the only person who had the right to do so. Whoopi was shaking her head slowly, her expression unreadable. Sarah looked like she was about to cry, her hand pressed to her chest. The audience sat in stunned silence, all the warmth and laughter of the opening minutes now feeling like it had happened in a different universe. What had started as another charming Jennifer Lawrence appearance had become something else entirely, a reckoning. A woman finally saying out loud what she had probably been holding inside for years, the exhaustion of performing perfection, the frustration of being analyzed constantly, the deep, lasting wound of having her privacy violated and being blamed for it. The aftermath of that interview would dominate social media for days. The clips would be shared millions of times. Women would post their own stories of being told they were too privileged to complain, too successful to struggle, too public to deserve privacy. Jennifer Lawrence had intended to promote a film. Instead, she had sparked a conversation about everything women in the spotlight were expected to endure and smile through. The hashtag #StandWithJennifer would trend for 3 days. Women in industries far from Hollywood would share their experiences of being violated, blamed, dismissed, of being told their success meant their pain didn't count, of being expected to perform gratitude for every opportunity while swallowing every indignity. Joy Behar would face criticism that would take weeks to die down. Questions would be raised about the show's approach to female guests, about whether tough questions had become code for tearing women down, about whether the pursuit of viral moments had replaced genuine conversation. A petition calling for her to apologize would gather hundreds of thousands of signatures. And Jennifer Lawrence would do something she had never done before. She would go quiet. No social media posts, no clarifying statements, no apology tour, just silence from a woman who had finally said everything she needed to say and had nothing left to prove to anyone. Some would criticize her for being dramatic, for not being able to take the heat. But many more would recognize what they had witnessed for what it was. Not a meltdown, a breakthrough. A woman finally dropping the mask she had been expected to wear and showing the cost of wearing it for so long. For those who had grown up with her, who had watched her become a star in real time, who had felt like they knew her because she had seemed so open and honest, there was something both heartbreaking and liberating about what they witnessed. The mask had finally dropped, and behind it wasn't a fraud or a phony. Behind it was a woman who had been carrying more than anyone knew, and who had finally run out of strength to carry it silently. That was the real Jennifer Lawrence, not the falling, laughing, pizza-eating girl that America had fallen in love with, but the woman underneath all of that, stronger than the persona, more complicated than the brand, and absolutely, finally, done pretending otherwise. What do you think about this incredible confrontation? Was Joy Behar out of line, or was she just doing her job? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more stories that will absolutely leave you speechless.